This past weekend, AEW went all out, and I officially, Stevie Jobber, am all elite. This is the Dark Match Dangerous Jobbers podcast. Here we
People have been asking me to be the best in the world. Why, Eddie? Why?
I'm better than you.
My eyes are red. I was in the back smoking a joint with Van Dam.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your boy Stevie Jobber.
And I'm your boy Dangerous Duke.
And today we are doing things a little bit different. You are getting a 2-for-1. Real quick, if you're looking at the logo on YouTube, this is the Dark Match. We're starting with the Dark Match because as All Out is passed, I rededicated myself to AEW, to watching weekly, starting with Dynamite and then catching all the clips of Collision and Rampage online, and just really investing with a clean slate. And before we do that and unbiasedly review All Out, I do have just a few points to get across, a few things I need to get out in the open in front of you, the listener, and to do, and just some things I need to get out there before we can get to the positives of the weekend that was All Out.
Fair enough.
So within this restricted dark match period, I'm going to go through those gripes. If you don't care to listen and you just want to get to the review, I'm going to put a timestamp on whatever you're listening to in the link so you can just skip right over there and get our review. But for those who want to stay and hear the negative AEW points that I may have for the next 15 minutes, then stick around.
This is our 0 hour.
This is our 0 hour. And in the 0 hour, I'm just going to hit it hard right off the bat. My initial theory about AEW has been that generally it's WCW Dancing with the Stars. And I don't say that to be mean. I say that as a general look at things. I see AEW, and yes, the wrestling is amazing. For anyone that always thinks we don't like AEW because of the wrestling, that's never what we're saying. We're never saying that you guys put on a worse wrestling show. That's never the point. The point is y'all focus so much on the wrestling that it becomes about nothing else.
Yeah.
So it because of that general stigma, a lot of the guys y'all get that go there, yes, it does feel like WCW, and yes, TNA even had it to a degree, but it feels like guys go over there when their time is kind of, and I'm not even to say their time is up, but just to say that they want to be somewhere where there is no ranking system, where you can kind of create your way into a spotlight if you have it, or you can just go out there and have great matches. It's a place really for people to have fun and not really to take things seriously. And the detriment to that can be the terrible creative, because now it's based off of who's hot and who wants to do something and who has something. So the people that are really good, that should be pushed, don't have anything and are struggling in the mid card. But because of the reputation, if you're known to be a really good wrestler, you generally want to go there because all your friends are there and you can have great matches with your friends. It's Dancing with the Stars. The stars would, in this case, just be the young guys that don't really get over unless they have a good idea. Yeah. And you get to be the old guy coming in there, taking some spotlight and shining, doing what you do best, but it ultimately might not mean anything. And you eventually get lost in the card. I.e. guys like where Daniels isn't ended up, and where Daniel Garcia is still just struggling to get out of, but we'll get to that unbiasedly later. Just the spots where i.e. Sammy Guevara. Darby Allin, who's still struggling to get out of there, but we'll talk about it later.
House
There's
of
just
Black.
House of Black for ages. Pac for ages. Eddie Kingston for ages. The Pride and the Powerful before they had their fallout. Just a lot of cases of guys struggling to be what they are, become more than where they started at. Big Bill still. Brian Keith most recently, even though I like his placement right now, you just fall into these places where I don't know, Mercedes Martina is a Taya Valkyrie. There's so many more names that I could say, but you get my point. And I wanna say this about it too. I'm not touching ROH.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not touching ROH. However you feel about ROH, if you want to include ROH in your AEW argument, I don't care. I'm not touching it. However
Yeah.
you feel about ROH is however you feel. I'm not paying the $10. I already pay for TNA, and that's enough for me. That's just how I feel about it. I don't care
Fair.
for whatever Athena's doing, great for her. But that's kind of where I'm leaving it, because I could, if I chose to pick it apart without watching it, there's much more negative things I could say than positive. So I would rather leave it alone.
Yeah.
But it's where the old dudes go to kick it. And a prime example of that would be Ricochet, even in his newest explanation for why he came to AEW. Specifically, he's a veteran. He's been doing this for 21 years, and he just wanted to go have fun. And the easiest place to go have fun, somewhere where you can just wrestle your matches and have the kind of match you want to have for as long as you want to have it, is AEW, because that's where people go to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He wasn't going there to be in some progressive story. He's going there because I can wrestle more, and it can mean more, and it can be about the wrestling, and I can just have more fun with friends. I.e. Dancing with the Stars. Like, this is what it has become. And I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying from a general perspective, like, it doesn't always make sense for people to go there. So I've had to start looking at it as a wrestler's standpoint of like, what do they get out of it if they know that the roster's too deep? And if that would be to go have fun. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying like the wrestling doesn't take a hit, so that's fine. I just want to make it a little more obvious to people that like it's a great place to be for the wrestlers, but it doesn't do much for the viewer to have a roster with that much depth and some of their favorite guys not getting a real piece of it because they're just there to have fun.
Yeah.
It takes away.
It diminishes the product.
That being said, touching on Ricochet, happy Ricochet's there. I'm happy that Ricochet's
happy
and happy and important at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like they're continuing that, and we'll get into it later. But I just hope it continues to be what he wants it to be.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm gonna say. If the arc they're going with is that he now has to prove himself to be as good as he always was, I think this will end nicely.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a positive. Negative, I want to touch on this MVP thing, and I'm so glad MVP finally said something about it. Some weird AEW fans have been talking about Triple H being like racist in his booking towards like black males. And guys, like, knock it off. And it's been fueled on the back of this MVP comment about him being the thing standing in the way of the Hurt Business getting back together, and him thinking the booking was unfair and not agreeing with it, and whatever insinuations he made was to make it seem as if Triple H didn't book black males well on purpose.
Yeah, I mean,
And the internet will take anything and run with it. And MVP has been just kind of letting it go. But I've been seeing it here and there as like Carmelo Hayes will lose early in the Andrade feud. And they're like, oh, there it is. Told you. Another da 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 da. And then like this black person wins a title over in AEW and they go, oh, there's no black champions on WWE. I'm like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Are you kidding?
the internet's just looking to say anything at this point.
Like, please knock it off, dude. Like, it makes it so toxic. And then I think of this. I think of MVP going recently and saying, like, yeah, I never actually said he was racist. And it being like, but you shouldn't even have to say that. Like, why are y'all taking it there?
Yeah,
like, we should know that. We should know this.
That's the IWC for you, you know.
We gotta rise above this thing, man. It's so ridiculous. Stop finding reasons to hate WWE, man. Like, I know I'm rededicating myself to AEW, but as a WWE fan already, like, can we stop? We up. Can we just be up?
We're finally in a time of light, and they want to try to drag us back into the dark ages.
They look for any reason. Like when we had too many matches on pay-per-views, they was like, the cards get boring because there's too many matches that don't matter. Now we got 5 matches, and it's like, oh, there's so much room for more matches, and blah blah blah. Like, you find it any reason? Man.
Yeah,
can we just win?
Yeah, can we just enjoy what we got right now because it's good, and not have to worry about stuff that's not there? If it's good, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know.
Exactly, and credit to. I'll give another positive credit to Swerve, because at first, I'll be honest with you, I thought he had catapulted to the top of the card based off of the song. I'll be completely honest. And so hearing more of the backstory and seeing more of it since the Samoa Joe reign and him finishing up with Hangman, I get it a little more. I get it a little more. Like, I don't know if something was missing for me in the beginning, and it just still felt like, because it felt like it had plucked him out of nowhere. Like, he was in something, he got really hot, and then they tried to pull him into a scene he hadn't gotten to yet while still being involved in this thing. And his popularity skyrocketed, and it felt like, I know we're going to put it on him. I just don't think that was anybody's original plan. So it wasn't a disrespect to him. I was happy he got it. I felt like he was the hottest in the show, on the show at the time. He should have been champ. But I was still waiting to watch the product and be like, okay, yeah. And I'm there. I'll give the credit to Swerve. He's doing behind the scenes everything a champion should do, and he's by all means him. Like, he has a thing when he walks out. Like, now I see it. It's clear as day.
Yeah.
And that being said, I'll end on this because this is the mark. This is the hard out. Getting all those things out the way, and my gripe that the conglomerate is just a bunch of people that had nothing to do in the card that y'all just threw together to make a group and is totally totally nonsensical and just to get all those people TV time because you have too many stories going on. Aside from all of that, y'all are doing some of your best work. Like I'll say, rededicating myself to AEW these past few weeks, they're doing some of their best work. I can watch the shows start to finish, and I can't
Mm-hmm.
pick out anything bad other than the conglomerate that they put together. Everything else makes sense and is entertaining,
Yeah,
and
they've gotten better.
they've gotten tremendously better. They're doing some of their best work. All right, so that's my dark match. That's me getting out my gripes, man. Thank y'all for listening. Give me your comments. Do you feel the same? Do you feel any different? And without further ado, let's get to the real review. Let's hit that intro one more time.
People have been asking me,
To be the best in the world.
why, Eddie, why?
I'm better than you.
My eyes are red. I was in the back smoking a joint with Van Dam.
You know it.
So they started with Garcia versus MJF. And I just want to say, I think the whole card was great. I'm not going to go through the whole card. I'm going to skip Okada and Mercedes Moné just because it's not a lot of news there.
Yeah.
But I thought Garcia and MJF was great. They had a great start. It was interesting that they kicked off the show, but it was the only match that went a little bit differently than I thought it would. MJF wins via roll up,
Mm-hmm.
but Garcia might have ridden MJF off of TV. And so what happens is they go into this match pretty much brawling from the get-go. And Garcia hits this power driver, and then he ends up hitting another power driver from the top rope to really lay MJF out. But MJF, this is after MJF ends up winning by doing the low blow and getting a roll up, which is very classic MJF. The only weird part was that he went to shake his hand after the match, which led to Garcia, kicking him in the nuts and then proceeding to kind of write him off at TV. But another tidbit of this match is that Garcia chose revenge more than once throughout the match when he hadn't won.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, MJF cheating in the end was kind of inevitable. It was another one of those hesitation things, like you should have just took the win and you were too greedy.
Yeah.
But I just wonder what this is for Garcia. I'm not sure where this puts MJF, if he's going to take time off, if he just came back for the big pay-per-views and then he's going away again because there's not enough space for him. It crossed my mind because it elevates Garcia and it gives MJF some space to find a place to come back where he can matter without being infused without a title for too long.
Do you think MJF is kind of in his Shawn Michaels phase right now, where Tony Khan might have just paid him a crap ton of money just to not go wrestle for the other guy?
I think here's the thing though, like I would believe that's possible if he didn't get the company tattooed on himself. Like the tattoo, I know you can get it covered up, but it kind of signals a level of dedication. Like this is the company I chose.
I mean, yeah.
Not for the money, but because this is like the place I choose to, be from.
I guess.
That being said, though, I still think he has an ego about his booking. So he might have done it because, like, he felt that was the best thing to do. Like, I don't want to be on the card just, like, in oblivion. Give other guys a spotlight.
Yeah.
Keep me important. I'll come back when it matters. and don't use me until it matters.
Okay.
I could see that being a thing too. I just wonder what this does for Garcia now. I just hope he doesn't dance again. As long as he doesn't hip thrust, I think we'll be
Yeah,
fine.
as long as we can stop doing this, then we're good.
I think we're good now. That being said, they have the tag match. The Bucks won the tag match. The only thing I'm gonna say is, I think they're gonna give Philly some after seeing what happened with the Bucks match and how he ended up taking the fall at the end, and the things that happened later in the night. I I think Wheeler Yuta got something coming.
Yeah.
I think they're cooking up. And then I'm gonna go to Pac and Osprey, who just went out there and had a classic. I'm not gonna. There's too many spots. There's too many
That
quick screws and submissions and hidden blades, and they did a lot.
they did very good. I'm not gonna lie. I want to say this the nice way. I don't pay as much attention to AEW as I did previously because of my own opinions about AEW, but I will say this match was phenomenal. I did catch this match. I really enjoyed this match, for as crazy as it was, but it was still a very good match.
Yeah, they went out there and they did amazing things, and it wasn't unexpected.
No.
My 2 points was that Osprey is a GOAT. He's
Yeah.
one of the greatest out there. On the mic and the ring, he's everything that he says he is. But I think that's always been his point to prove.
Yeah. And some of their high spots were kind of crazy too.
But it makes you remember what Pac was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And still is. I don't want to say was. It just
but
booking is
it's not
booking,
to
as
the
I said
it's
before.
just not to the same extent.
But they went out there and they did great things. Osprey put out the victory, and Osprey had an interview later in the night after the crazy match we'll talk about next, where he's kind of interrupted by Ricochet, and apparently like he's been consistently still throwing shots at Ricochet since he's gotten there. And they had kind of this. It's weird because the first promo they had, it seemed like they were friends having a competitive thing, and now it seems like they're turning that into like a shit talking thing.
Yeah.
So he confronts him during the interview, and Osprey basically tells him that he's washed and he need to get some wins under his belt before he can step to him. And it was kind of like, I don't know. I hope they write this right.
Yeah, this is one of the ones that I would sit back and I would tune in just to watch this if they do it the right way.
I want the angle to be decisive. I want it because the way that it's leaning, it's like at first I thought Osprey wanted him here because they were friends. You know what I mean? And you want your man to be everything that he's supposed to be.
Yep.
But then he got there and it was almost like he's not on my level.
Yeah.
And now that you're here, you're going to find out that you're not on my level. And I really just wanted you here to sun you. So if that's the angle that they're going with, then this will be fun.
Yeah.
This will be fun. But other than that, those are my 2 points. They just went out there and had a banger. It wasn't out there for anything else but to be a banger.
Yeah.
And put Osprey on a big stage and have him win big after he, took that thing from MJF, and it kind of spun out of that. You needed something to just give him a straight spotlight. But speaking of spotlight, they culminated kind of one of their lower feuds, and as I realize it now, it was the only other women's match on the card, which kind of strikes me as odd, but it's fine. Willow and Chris Stack. I'll admit, Willow has some character flaws to me from a general outlook, but if you give it kind of a Mick Foley have a nice day perspective, where she's just like a good person, but like a hardcore machine, then I kind of favor the angle. And it's only because of matches like this. Like, the more I see her in these hardcore matches, and this was the match for her because they really hadn't gotten it on to the level they were supposed to yet. And like I said, stuff with story, stuff with booking. I'm not going to get into it, but this is the match that needed to happen, and they brought it like this was the culmination of something that had a much better build. But they did amazing things, like, and the fact that Stat went over, which I feel like she needed, because they were giving Willow's weird booking at times, she really was the more over person, and Stat really needed that win as a heel. And it doesn't hurt Willow at all. And the fact that they went out there and had the banger they had, and Stat took some of the spots she had. She pulled out the thumbtacks and did.
I was gonna say that thumbtack spot, man. Both
that
of them.
Split crotch spot was crazy.
Yeah, and then that like rolling Samoan drop move right on top of it.
The rolling Samoan drop was nuts. The chain, the bike chain choking her out. It felt like, I put this in my notes, it felt like 2000s TNA knockouts. Like, it felt like they went out there and just had a banger.
I did like
ODB and somebody, like,
I did like the touch in the match where they wrote R.I.P. New Jack on the chair.
Yeah, that was dope. They went out there and they tried to steal the show.
They definitely did try to steal the show.
And I credit Stat and Willow with that, because it's hard to do. It's hard to steal, and having only 2 of the women's matches on the show, and the other one being Mercedes Moné, to be kind of the show stealer of the night and be the hardcore spot of the night. I like that for the women. It's a lot of pressure, but on the right shoulders. I've seen them do it time and time again. Britt, Thunder Rosa, Willow, they're kind of a special kind of spot where if you give them the right green light, they can be better than the men on any given night.
Yeah, but it's difficult because of so many matches and everything else. But any given night, they can.
That's true too, though. It's great for the match that they had to follow, because the match they had to follow was so much more high flying, and technical. But they did great work. Like I said, I'm going to skip that Mercedes Moné match, and I'll say it like this: Stat and Willow had the better match
by far.
And no discredit to Mercedes Moné, but I don't know. That's a gripe I won't get into just yet. I'm still waiting some weeks to see how good Mercedes Moné is fleshed out. And then to get on to the main event, or the two main events. I'm gonna get
Technically,
into I'm gonna get into Danielson versus Jack Perry. First, I'll say that was kind of like Bloodline cinema.
yeah, sort of, kind of.
Just the way that it fleshed out, because at first it's a regular match,
Mm-hmm.
and then the first wave of people come in. You get the Elite, you get Matt and Nick. They come in, then the Elite come in. Well, no, the BCC come in,
Yeah,
clear
Combat
them
Club.
out. And then after Danielson wins, you get the matriarchy coming out with Luchasaurus. Oh wait, no. I'm getting it wrong. The Elite come out, Combat Club come out,
Mm-hmm.
Luchasaurus comes out to help Jack Perry,
Yeah, and then Mox.
and then Mox and them come out. Okay, I'm getting it a little mixed up. There was a lot that happened.
Yeah,
The Elite, then the matriarchy, Mox,
and
the
then the rest of Combat.
BCC, the rest of the Combat Club. Danielson wins.
Mm-hmm.
They get the matriarchy out of there, and then they turn on Danielson. Okay, a lot of waves.
Yeah.
It's a lot of overlapping story here, but basically, the Combat Club saves Danielson from everybody, and then turns on him at the end. But
Yeah.
the one person left out of it is Wheeler Yuta, because Pac is there. Pac is now affiliated with them because he's trios champions with Yuta and Claudio.
Yeah.
Marina Shafir is there because she's
Affiliated with
Mox's
Mox.
new, yeah, she's like Mox's new right hand or something.
Yeah.
So Claudio starts by giving him the European uppercut, and then Pac is holding Wheeler Yuta as Mox takes a paper bag and murders
Yeah.
Bryan Danielson.
Terrible acting by all these men, by the way. Like, I mean, just terrible acting from like the start of the uppercut, like from the start of the turn when he got hit with the uppercut.
Yeah.
Danielson like no sold the uppercut and
Okay,
just
it
looked
wasn't
at
just
him.
weird to me, right? Like he
Right,
totally
yeah.
no sold the uppercut.
And he just sat there staring at him like,
it didn't hurt him. It was, he
did you
was
just hear
kind
the
of in
uppercut, my
shock.
dude? Like, did you, like, was that a friendly fire? Did
This
you
is
mean
not
an
the
uppercut?
dojo. Like, what happened just now?
Yeah, and then Mox comes in and puts the bag over his head, just like starts committing attempted murder right in front of thousands of people, and Wheeler Yuta with just like the softest, fakest cry in the world, and Pac not even holding him, just literally having an arm right here, like no. Wheeler looking like he can't reach him. He's like, nah. I'm like, none of these men can go to Hollywood. Like Roman Reigns would never. John Cena would never.
So okay, so well, I guess that's the thing, right? Because it was very Bloodline. Bloodline's big thing is having a bunch of people, waves of people come in to defend people to ultimately end in some huge twist. But this it felt a little all over the place, because you had heels interjecting with heels that weren't in cohesive together. Then you had the faces coming in to defend against the multiple heels, only to then become heel and end in murder.
Yeah.
So there was a lot going on here that I don't know if all of this stuff was built up to, because especially because Christian just won that contract. And I don't think I don't think there were seeds of like Claudio turning and Wheeler not knowing, and
Yeah, that was. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was caught off guard by that.
like I don't get me wrong, I thought Mox might have a thing.
No, that's what I mean. Like Wheeler and not Wheeler, Claudio and Pac turning is what caught me off guard.
Mm-hmm.
I could have just seen Mox doing his own thing and just leaving the BCC, but it turns out the whole BCC just turned on him.
Yeah, they had a judgment day, bro.
Yeah,
They had like a judgment day, like
and then they left one of their trios champions in the dark. Like, how's that gonna go over
what
next
is
week?
that about? Yeah, like so I'm thinking, okay, something's up for Wheeler
Mm-hmm.
because him being the guy out of the know, though be it was terrible acting. Yeah, they could have did that better. They really could have did that better. And I only say that because we've seen it done better. We've seen Roman choke out Jimmy. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like it's been done better. It's been
the
done
the,
much
the
better.
Usos acted better than
Oh my
any of
goodness.
them did.
Yeah. So, hit up Paul Heyman or something. But I think it has potential. I
It
think
does.
Mox showing up and making it not the end of the the Blackpool Combat Club, but a reincarnation of the
Yeah,
Blackpool Combat Club with Mox at the helm and with Marina Shafir as a lead
and
and
I'm bringing in Pac.
and maybe who'd you say?
And bringing in Pac.
And bringing in Pac and having it kind of be Pac and Claudio. That'd be fierce,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because Wheeler Yuta is gonna have to get into something where he decides to leave,
Yeah, more than likely, or where they just boot him.
or they boot him out. So it'll be Pac and Claudio, which is a much more dangerous tag team.
Oh yeah,
A much more dangerous tag team. That's scary. They're so good together. So Pac and Claudio, Mox, and then Marina Shafir, which is a great four.
yeah,
It's a
and
great four.
when you do that, you don't really have any. There's no losing scenario to this.
Mm-hmm.
Like you figure Mox becomes the undisputed guy for the Combat Club. You got the better tag team with Claudio and Pac anyway. Wheeler, if you kick him out or kick him to the curb or he leaves, Wheeler just goes off and does his own thing, either with Danielson or just on his own.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure like the first month he'll be with Danielson and then he'll have his
yeah,
own arc after that.
and then you potentially groom another star right there. You either have somebody to go after your Continental title or your TNT. Like there's plenty of options for him after that.
You know what and just because it's a weird connect because Mox, not only did Mox turn on Danielson, but he's been calling out Darby for weeks
Mm-hmm.
prior upon his
Yeah.
return. So now you've taken out Danielson, probably effectively becoming the solo guy and calling out Darby. So I wonder how that works, but part of me is hoping that he'll have Wheeler and he'll be
Mm-hmm.
outnumbered and he'll be, fighting for the whatever. Because it's better that way because once he loses, he's retired. So
Yeah.
why not make it look like he's gonna lose early, and then
Mm-hmm.
have some stuff to work out and work through before he gets to some consistent title runs, and then we decide on the guy. Ric Flair style.
Yeah.
But I think it would be cooler if we don't give Darby right away.
Mm-hmm.
I say that because I feel like if we save Darby until it is vital for him to intervene, then all of the teaching of Sting will have thus paid off.
Yeah.
Have Mox run rampant on AEW for months
Yeah.
and like hold this thumb under Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson until like the last second where it's like, oh shoot, I think Mox is gonna end his career. And then have Darby drop in and be Sting, and then have, because then the effect of Darby and Mox will be much higher, only because now Mox has proven himself to be unstoppable, and the only guy he's been looking for has finally showed up. I just think if the rumors are true about Darby becoming a main event player, then make Darby important without having him do no crazy stuff.
Yeah, but this would also be the time for it too. So I agree with you. I do agree.
And it don't got to be super. I'm not saying months and months, right? But
no,
in AEW time, the months that it would take to build that is probably like a month. So like,
why do we say
we
it?
Gotta be real. We gotta be real though. We gotta be real about how long builds take in their time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
3 months in WWE is 3
They've
weeks
already
in
pulled the
AEW.
trigger on. They've already pulled the trigger on Ricochet and Ospreay.
They pulled the trigger before the gun was even loaded.
Like, come on, you know what I'm saying? We're still waiting on them to really put Ilya and Gunther in the same room, and they pulled the trigger on Ospreay and Ricochet like that night.
Yeah, they pulled that trigger before the gun was even loaded, and then with Ilya and Gunther, it's like loading a freaking musket.
So, you know, it'll probably take a month, but a month of just him calling him out, and then ruining Daniel Bryan's life until it's Daniel Bryan versus Mox, but it's Mox and Wheeler, and they've destroyed Wheeler Yuta. So the only hope is for Danielson to beat all three of them, unless Darby shows up and saves them all.
Comes down from the rafters
Like Sting. And then you got Mox and Darby, and Danielson can get out of whatever mess he's in and become just a singles champion.
Start whooping ass with a skateboard.
Right. And Darby becomes a world, main eventer level without doing any of the real work, because now he's the one person that can put a stop to Jon Moxley.
Yeah.
I just think that's probably the best, but they won't do that. I don't think they're gonna do that.
No, because now you said it, so they're not gonna do it.
And now I said it, they're not gonna do it. But I do think that would probably be the best option. All right, and now that we get past all of this, we got to get past. We got to get to the main event. That was the unsanctioned match on the card. Talk about so. The pretense for me going into this, because I'm rededicating myself to AEW and I'm being totally honest about my gripes, I was done with Swerve versus Hangman. Hangman almost costing Swerve and being part of the asterisk to Daniel getting the belt from him annoyed me so much, because I swore we had put Hangman in the backseat. Like
wanted to.
They had done every hardcore thing I could think of. I was done.
Right.
So seeing the promo that they had the week after, where they declared the cage match, I was like, okay, I get it. I get how there could be one more. I get what Hangman's gripe is. You haven't really beaten me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm frustrated because I have done nothing with my life. So, not to say, but I've done nothing with my life since you got hot. So, I'm in shambles over it. And I want nothing but revenge. Okay, cool. This is my way. This is Austin and Rock. This is one of us. Only one of us can exist at the top. And I know you're not better than me. Cool. I get it. Then, the outside of his house thing, I was like, all right, that's Deborah. That's, you know what I mean? I can see where this is going. They found my way. They're going to go into that cage and they're going to I get the scene. And then I saw Hangman burn his house down. And I was like, oh, This is Sean and Hunter. This is bigger than that. This is Kane and Taker. This is I hate your freaking guts. I just want you. I don't like anything about you, and I just don't want you to exist in my world.
I hate the way that you talk, the way that you walk.
This was Kendrick and Drake. This was it. This was that.
He didn't quite burn the house down as good as Randy, but he still burned the house down.
But it got the same effect though. It got the same effect as burning down the Wyatt compound. It's like, all right, here we go. There's no turning back from this. And so seeing Swerve sell it, seeing Swerve and really getting Swerve and really getting Hangman and really getting their evolution and where they're at in their careers. Very excited going into the cage match. And then the cage match just turned out to be
another attempted murder.
And the attempted murder. Like, just from the very beginning, there was attempted murder. There was threats of decapitation. There was needle injections. There were cinder blocks needles, that were real.
Cinder blocks, staples.
Crimea River. There was staples. There was so many things.
Attempted. That's assault, brother. Like,
so many things. And then we get down to the piece of the wood from the house that they tried to stab each other with.
Dude, I gotta say something here, and I don't know who I give this credit to, because I kind of dog shit Adam Page a little bit. I don't know if this credit goes to Tony or if it goes to Swerve and Page or who it goes to, but had this had been like a Young Bucks match, I would have hated it. Had this had been like, I don't know, Orange Cassidy and Malachi Black, for example, I probably wouldn't have been a fan of it. I think just strictly because it was Swerve and Page, I think that's why I liked it so much, which is crazy for me to say because I'm not the biggest Page fan. I think if this would have been anybody else, I don't think I would have liked it as much. Just the storytelling from them two in general for this feud is what made it worth it for me.
Man, I'll tell you what was the cherry on top for me. And then we're pretty much done. The cherry on top for me is that the build was great in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They somehow found a way to revive a feud I was absolutely done with.
Yeah.
Saw no life left in and catapulted it to the most important blood feud I've ever seen.
Talk about strapping it to a rocket.
Yeah, and trusted them in 2 weeks to build that story to make it much more important than it was previous and close the show. Credit to Swerve still really being the people's champion. That whole Rock and Austin angle that they're having. And then to go out there and do what they did, like, I really got to hand it to Swerve and Page. But the cherry on top to me was that they did all of that. They did the cinder block. They did the cinder block. They did the tables. They did
so much.
What am I missing? What else did they do? They did a ton of stuff. They did the decapitation spot. They did the
needle spot.
They did the needle spot.
The stapling the family to the chest.
They did the staple spot. They did the piece of the house spot. The cherry on top of the end is the chair shot.
Yes. Yeah.
I can tell how they rigged the chair to make it look even better. But the chair shot was the cherry on top because it was the unwritten rule. It was, everyone knows the chair spot is forbidden. That's the ultimate no-no.
Yeah.
We had seen a guy get choked out with a paper bag prior, but it is not quite as devastating as an unprotected chair shot to the head. It is just the visual now because we haven't seen it in so long is
Yeah.
like death. It's like what the concerto used to look like. Like
Yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh. It was the
Mm-hmm.
punt kick. You know what I'm saying?
Not the
It
punt
was
kick.
it was one of those. So seeing him hit him with the unprotected chair shot at the end and still have something after all the things y'all did to be like, I can't believe he gave him the unprotected chair shot and still get one more gasp out of something that wasn't as big in 2005. Like, you know what I'm saying? Seeing Eddie hit JBL with an unprotected chair shot is one thing, but seeing that chair shot felt so much more different, so
Yeah.
much more significant,
There
so
was
much
some
more
oomph.
violent. Like, way to go.
There was some malice.
Way to go. Way to go. So those guys went out there and killed it. And the fact that, all right, so I'm gonna give you all this. That was a much better cage match than Seth Rollins and The Fiend in Hell in the Cell. Like, I see
Oh
what
yeah.
y'all did, and we did it so much worse. Like, that was how you supposed to kill somebody in the ring, kayfabe, and
Yeah.
have the match stop. That's what it was supposed to look like.
Yeah, not with
That looked
some
like he killed him.
yeah,
Like,
not with some damn, cartoony hammer.
yeah,
We
like
need the staples and the needles and the cinder blocks.
they did it right. Like, I see
Yeah.
what they're going for with the Hell in the Cell with Seth and the Fiend, and then I see what these two men went out there and did, and I'm like, that's what they were looking for. This was violence personified, and to call the match after the chair shot, and to have Hangman winning but unsatisfied is the dopest angle.
Yeah.
Imagine being Thanos. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine being Thanos and being like, I won, but I ain't it
Like,
wasn't
yeah,
supposed to be.
I wiped out half the universe, but it doesn't feel how I thought it would feel.
Unsatisfied.
Maybe it's time for him to wipe out the other half of the universe.
Sweet cheese. So I think that put just a great topper on a fantastic card.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I thought this card was phenomenal. There wasn't many things that I had issues with. Probably the only thing that I had an issue with out of this whole card was the 0 hour having nothing but like trio style matches. But again, you got so many people, you got to figure out how to put them on the card some way. So why not? But all in all, they did phenomenal with this. I approve.
All right, and with that being said, guys, that is our review of All Out. And I'm actually excited for the things to come. Like I said, I think they've done some of the best work they can do currently, and I'm actually invested. So
Maybe they've turned a corner.
let's see where things go. This could be exciting. But thank you for joining us. If you stayed this long, please subscribe, like the video, comment on the video. We've been here this long. I mean, thank you for your dedication. Thank
And
you
y'all
for
got 2 episodes in 1.
2 for 1, man. Or 1 if you skipped. I'm not judging you. It's fine. Thank you for joining us anyway. I hope you liked for this section of the video that you saw or listened to. Subscribe to us wherever you're listening to this at, and if you want to follow us on the social medias just to get some clips and see what else we got going on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. Dangerous Jobbers Podcast, dangerousjobberswebsite.com. If you want to check out the website, we're improving stuff over there every month. So I
Click
mean,
one of
just
them
check
links.
us out. Yeah, man, check us out. But I've been Stevie Jobber. That has been Dangerous Duke. This has been our review. Stay up, stay blessed, and Duke, take it away, man.
Stay dangerous.
People have been asking me,
To be the best in the world.
why, Eddie, why?